Well, I am going to go ahead and get started. People are still logging on, but I know that you all are busy and you have a lot going on in your lives. So, welcome to today's inside look at how you can use the Qgiv confirmation pages and receipts. I want you to understand at the end of this how you can use those tools to really make your donors feel amazing about the gifts they give you. I do know that you're super busy. I know you're working on fundraising during a really strange time here on Earth. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I know it's a big deal and I appreciate it. If you are not familiar with me or Qgiv, my name is Abby Jarvis. I'm part of the team over at Qgiv. We are an online fundraising platform, and our big focus is helping nonprofits raise more money, whether it's online or off. And part of what we do to support that is put on webinars like this one. So if you're going to see a little survey at the end of the webinar, let me know what information and webinars you're looking for because we pay attention to all of that. Today, though, we're going to look at some best practices around confirmation pages and receipts and how you can apply them to our tools. I see many of you who are on our Qgiv clients. So if you have any questions today about how you can apply what we're going to talk about to your own Qgiv account, please let us know. Our support team will walk you through how to do everything you want to do. And if you're not a Qgiv client, we can help you too. You're going to get some awesome best practices that you can apply today, but we can also help you if you want to learn more about the tools I'm going to show you today. I can get you in touch with the right person and we'll show you how they work. Just a couple housekeeping things. I am recording this webinar and you're going to get a copy of it after the webinar is complete. So right now, YouTube is taking kind of a long time to upload videos. So you'll get this from me probably late tomorrow morning or right after lunch. And I'm also going to give you some other links and resources that'll be helpful for you. And then if you have any questions throughout this presentation, we are going to have time at the end for questions. So if anything occurs to you, drop it in the questions box. I'll answer as many as I can at the end of our time together today. So don't hesitate to ask questions. Now that the boring things are out of the way, it's time for us to really dig into confirmation pages and receipts together. But first, I want to look at why this actually matters and why you should spend some time updating your confirmation pages and receipts. It is not an inherently interesting sounding topic, but these two really simple assets that you already have are going to be really important to you. And the big reason they're going to be important, of course, is because they are really valuable opportunities to give your donors information we know they want. So these two assets, your confirmation pages and receipts, are the first things your donor is going to receive from you after they make a gift. And both of them are really great opportunities to capitalize on the good feelings your donors experience in the moments after they give. So we know that donors really want three things after they make a donation. They want to know their gift is noticed and appreciated. They want to know their gift is going to make a difference. And then later on, they want updates about how their gift was used. And I promise I'm not making that up. You don't have to take my word for it. We recently did a study at Qgiv where we surveyed 1,300 donors about their donation and their communication preferences. And this is what they found. The donors we surveyed told us that they want immediate acknowledgement of their gift. So over 60% of them want a receipt within 24 hours or right away. And even more of them said that they wanted them within 48 hours. They also told us that they want to feel like their money is being used wisely and that feeling that way is going to make a real difference to them and their decision about whether or not they're going to continue giving to the organization they supported. So if you spend a little time customizing your confirmation pages and receipts, they can help you acknowledge your donor's gift, communicate their impact, and then set the stage for future updates that will help you retain your donors. So we're going to look at how to do that. I'm going to show you some best practices. I'm going to show you some elements that you can include on your confirmation pages that will make donors feel fantastic. And then we're also going to look at how to build a really outstanding donation receipt, and then how specific Qgiv tools will help you put these best practices into action. The first thing your donor sees after they make a gift is your confirmation page. And yeah, it's super important that you do show them their transaction details. Some people actually like to print their donation confirmation pages for their records. So it's important to leave those pieces of information there, but it's also a really valuable opportunity to start creating a relationship with the donor who just gave you their money. So I want to show you an example of a great confirmation page and then break down why it's so great. So the first thing I want to point out is this image. So this is a great image. We know that images that work best with donors are positive looking images with a child or another beneficiary of the gift making eye contact. And we know that happy images outperform sad feeling images. So this image hits all of those high points. This is also a really great spot for a thank you video if you have one of those, or a video that tells the donor how their gift is really going to make an impact. If you have that, feel free to put that on your donation confirmation page. People love those. I also wanted to point out that there is a really heartfelt thank you message here in a couple of different places. It's more than a simple thank you for your donation to our organization message. It's very specific about what the donor is accomplishing, and it's very sincere. And donors love that. The kind of canned thank yous are kind of effective, but this is much more effective. I also want to point out that there is an impact statement that is also very specific. This doesn't just say, thank you, you're helping us do important work in the community. It talks about exactly what work the donor is helping achieve, and it's very donor centric. You'll note the message doesn't really talk about the organization itself. This doesn't say, thank you for supporting Lakeland Food Pantry. It says, thank you for doing this work with us. It directly ties the donor to the community that they're helping with their gift, and that is really important to donors. I also want to point out this note about the donor's receipt. So this is a fun little psychological marketing trick. If you tell someone that they're going to get an email from you or a letter from you or however you're communicating, knowing that it's coming will actually make them more likely to open and engage with the email or receipt, in this case you sent them. And that's going to be important because after this webinar, you're going to start sending them super awesome receipts and you want them to pay attention to them. So let them know that that receipt is coming and that it's going to be something more than just a transaction report. And then I also want to draw attention to the social sharing buttons and this request that someone share the form on social media. This is kind of a funny addition to a confirmation page if you're not used to seeing something like that, but there's actually some science behind why that's there. That science that I'm talking about is really a psychological phenomenon called the Ben Franklin effect. So the Ben Franklin effect is really useful if you are trying to get donors to continue to engage with you. The term is a name for a specific phenomenon that results when someone does a favor for someone else. So if I do a favor for you, who can I pick on? If I do a favor for Terry Winship, I'm actually more likely to do another favor for Terry in the future, even more so than if Terry did a favor for me. Because when I do a favor for someone, my brain thinks, oh, wow, I did a favor for Terry. I must really like that person. I should continue to support that person. So if you ask a donor to do something for you after they give, they are going to be more likely to continue to engage with you in the future. I will put a caveat on that. The favor should not be for another donation, so don't ask them to do that. The favor should be something really easy. It shouldn't take long, and it shouldn't really take a great investment on the donor's part. Some really great examples are what I did on this form. We can ask donors to share your form or share a story about why they gave to your organization. We can ask donors to watch a video. We can ask them to take a short donor survey. There are all kinds of opportunities for us to ask our donors to do favors for us. And if they do something, they've done a favor for you. They must really like you. They should continue to engage with you. It's a really fun, really useful donor engagement technique. So it's a fun hack you can use. You can add all of the elements that I showed you on that donation form with Qgiv, and it's actually really easy. So the one I showed you is actually a confirmation page that I made in just a few minutes. And trust me when I tell you that if I can do it, you can do it too. To do this, you will open up your form builder. It's an interface that we have at Qgiv that lets you apply different themes and styling to your donation form. And then once you have your form builder open, you can switch over to the view for the confirmation page. Once you're there, you can edit top and bottom content. And you can also edit some of the language that is in the actual body of the receipt, the transaction details. So you can see up here, here I've added this picture and the thank you message to the top content. You can also do that at the bottom. Adding images or video is really simple, and you can format everything to match the donation form that your donor just used to give. So you can use your brands or your organization's brand. You can use brands for different programs that you have running. If you feel really fancy and are good at CSS, you can also add custom CSS. We've seen some nonprofits get really creative with that tool. Custom CSS, though, isn't necessary to have a great page. If you're not a designer or a programmer, you can still make a really beautiful, very high impact confirmation page, and it only takes a few minutes. So again, you don't have to be a pro to do this. You just have to have a great picture and a good story. Then after you've kind of wowed your donors with a really cool confirmation page, it's time to go zhuzh up your donation receipt. If you're raising money online, honestly, your donors are probably already receiving automated receipts. Those are typically sent out by your fundraising platform. So you might as well use them to your advantage, especially since donors are already going to receive them. So you can really use donations or donation receipts to great advantage. One of my absolute favorite things to do after I give to an organization is see what they're going to do with my receipt. And I've seen some really phenomenal receipts. But if I'm being honest, mostly I get receipts that are very much like the ones I get when I order a pizza online or if I buy a pair of pants. Having the transaction details from my purchase, in this case, my donation, is nice. But that kind of receipt from a nonprofit is really kind of a missed opportunity to get me really excited about the work that you and I are doing together now to make a difference in the world. So that said, it is really easy to add a few elements to your donation receipt, and those elements can kind of transform your donation receipt from a boring, sterile transaction report to a really powerful way to inspire your donors and set the stage for future interactions with them. And here is my kind of secret formula for that type of receipt. So first, you want to include one or two really great images. So your donors have supported real people. They are interested in making a real impact in real people's lives, so you can show them real people. Feel free to use the same image you used on your confirmation page. That can establish a kind of continuity with your donor, or you can use different images. If you do decide to use different images, though, I really highly recommend using pictures that are still related to the program or the cause your donor supported in the first place. So If I gave to a food pantry program that feeds local families, it would be super weird for me to get a receipt full of images from your pet pantry. There's a little bit of a disconnect there. We know that donors also want stories about the impact their gift will make. So make it a point to include details about the people they're actually going to help. This is another area where you are going to want to use donor centric language. So, like I said, donors give to causes and not to organizations. But if you can connect them directly to the work they're achieving with their gift, they're going to feel connected to your work and be more likely to support you again in the future. When you're using that donor centric language to tell them a story about what they're going to achieve, be as specific as possible about your donor's gift and what it is going to accomplish. Um, if a donor gave to your annual fund, you can talk about the broad goals they're helping to achieve or the mission they're helping to further. But if they gave to a specific program, in this receipt instance, this is a program that helps feed local families, give them details about that specific program. They love that program enough that they have sought out a way to support it. So give them details about the program that inspired them to that extent. This helps donors feel seen, for lack of a better word. They see you sending them a receipt about the specific cause or the specific program or the specific fund they supported. It's not just a generic receipt, and they'll feel like their gift is actually recognized and is important. Um, you may remember a couple slides ago when you included a note about the donor's receipt on your confirmation page. You can do that here too. Let donors know how they can get updates about their gift's impact. So if you're going to send them a follow-up email with an impact report, which I sincerely hope you do, let them know. They're going to be more likely to open that email and read it and engage with it. If you're going to call them, which we know a lot of donors like, let them know that you're going to call them in a couple of days. They'll be more likely to answer the phone. If you're going to update your social channels, invite them to like you on Facebook or follow you on Twitter or Instagram. They'll be more likely to look for those updates and engage with them. And then, of course, you do want to include your donor's transaction details. It is still a receipt. I did want to point out at the bottom of this screenshot that I have here, it says, "Thank you. Please keep this receipt for your records. Your entire gift is tax deductible." And then it has a note about the food pantry being a 501c3. That is really important. You don't necessarily want the tax deductibility to be the first thing in your receipt, but we do know that a large number of donors, particularly donors who are in the Generation X age group, are motivated by their gifts tax deductibility. So that is a really great way to include a note about whether or not a gift is tax deductible without kind of detracting from the story or the impact that you're communicating in the rest of the receipt. Here is another fun little life hack that you can use. This one is one of my favorite of all time. I use it even if I'm sending text messages to my mom or whoever. If you have a hard time writing donor-centric content, and I think we all do sometimes because we're all so excited about our nonprofit and our mission, this is a really easy tool or method you can use. It's called the Ahern audit, and it is named for Tom Ahern, who is a phenomenal fundraiser. He's written some of the best fundraising books I've ever come across. And the Ahern audit is really simple. So first you write your content. Then you circle all of the you language in red. So words like you or your get a circle around them. And then if you use the words we or our, and that word includes the donor, that gets circled in red too. Then you're going to circle all of the we language in blue. So the words we and us and your nonprofit's name all get blue circles. And so do the words our or we if those words don't include the donor. So at the end of this exercise, your circled words should mostly be red words. If you have more blue circles than red circles, rewrite your content to place more emphasis on the donor and less on the organization itself. And as a fun little hint, this also really works well with subject lines as well. People are much more likely to open emails and then actually read emails if the word you is in the subject line. So you will have spent time putting together a beautiful story for your receipt. Put the word you in there in the subject line so people will actually open and read all the beautiful things you have to say. Now, Qgiv's receipting system has a ton of tools available to you that you can use to make a great impression on your donors through your receipts. And honestly, you can customize pretty much every possible receipt. There are receipts for donations and peer to peer transactions, for auction events, event registrations. There's a series of special receipts that can go out to recurring donors. Essentially, if a transaction can be processed through Qgiv, you can create a custom receipt for it. And just like the confirmation page interface is really simple, so is the interface you'll use for updating your receipts. It's very similar to a word processor. You can do different colored fonts and styling to make your receipt match your brand. And there is a really neat tag system that you can use to pull in specifics about your donor's gift, which helps you personalize the receipt a little bit. Um, those tags pull in transaction details. It can pull in a donor's first or last name. It can pull in any honorifics they want you to use. That tagging system lets you give your donors what personal information they've provided to you. One tool I really like is the ability to customize the names that will display in your donor's inbox. Um, as in marketing, we know that people are more likely to open and interact with emails that appear to have come from specific individuals instead of whole organizations. So that's why when you got an email invitation to this webinar, the email came from me. It came from Abby at Qgiv. I used to just send out invitations from Qgiv or Qgiv webinars, but people like to know that Abby at Qgiv is sending them. You can do that with your organization as well. So you can have the email come from Stephanie instead of your organization name. This interface does also let you create your own subject line. And I think that is really important because we know that subject lines have a huge impact on whether or not someone actually opens and reads an email. Um, based on where you are. So you can also add a PDF receipt to the actual email, which is really handy. Based on where you are, especially if you're in Canada, I believe that attaching PDF receipts to acknowledgement emails is actually required by law, and that may also be required by some states. So that's a really useful tool if you are up in Canada or if you are required otherwise to send PDF receipts to your donors. You could also use the PDF receipts to update your recurring donors on what's going on with your organization just by updating the recurring receipt and then just attaching the transaction details as a PDF. So if that's something you're interested in trying, you could explore that too. This is my very favorite feature, probably in the whole Qgiv system. It's something that we call at Qgiv conditional content. And there is actually, if you look at this slide, you can see over here, there's this little conditional content button. Conditional content is super useful because we know that donors want to feel appreciated and they want to know that their donation is recognized and valued. And this tool will help you do exactly that. Conditional content blocks contain content that appears in a donor's receipt only if they meet specific criteria. So you can add content blocks that will appear if a donor gives to a specific program or a fund, if they dedicate their donation to someone or make a donation in honor of someone. You can include a special note if they include a little extra gift to offset processing fees. There are tons of applications. Um, and you can see here in this screenshot that I've built a couple of different pieces of content for those who give to my meals restriction. And then I have specific content for people who give to my building repairs fund. This helps us be really specific. So when you tell your donor how their gift is going to make an impact, you can be very specific about what they're going to achieve. So the donor who gives meals to an organization will get content specifically about the program they supported. If someone gave to my meals fund, they will get a note saying that they're going to help people get a warm, safe place to enjoy a meal. If someone donated to my building repair, they'll get information about how they're going to help me and our organization feed more families. So both donors get personalized, specific information about what they're accomplishing, but you can save time by not having to create individual receipts for every single program you run. So your donors get what they want and you get to save some time. You can apply that level of customization to all of your receipts. So anyone who donates, anyone who registers for an event, anyone who makes a purchase from your peer-to-peer event will get a receipt that makes them feel seen and appreciated and important. And you can honestly set up receipts and confirmation pages for individual forms. And anyone who uses Qgiv can have an unlimited number of forms. So you can really easily get granular and specific with your donation forms, and you can send very personalized receipts and very personal confirmation messaging to your donors. If you're interested in seeing and how all of those forms compare with each other, we actually have something to help you. We are just getting ready to announce this actually. We've been hearing from many of you that you and our users are needing to rethink a lot of what you're doing, a lot of your fundraising strategies. So stuff that has worked for you in the past is not really applicable today. And we know that being able to evaluate all the possible data is a really important part of making sure you stay successful, despite everything that's going on in the world. So from the start of next month through the end of the year, all Qgiv users will get all of the unlimited forms and confirmation pages and receipts, but you'll also get free access to all of the tools in our data plan. So that gives you access to a few cool things. You get unlimited access to custom reports, email and CRM integrations if you're using those. You can track offline gifts, and there are a few other cool tools you can use. If you are currently a Qgiv client and want to activate that, you can email us at support@qgiv.com. We'll get you set up. If you're not using Qgiv and you're interested in learning more about confirmation pages and receipts and form building and those elements, or any of the tools in the data package, you can get a hold of us at contact@qgiv.com. We'll answer all your questions. We can show you how they work for you. And then this is a fun little heads up. There are some really cool things coming out from Qgiv over the next several months. We are currently working on some really exciting changes that are coming for Qgiv donation forms. So we talked about how important it is for donors to feel appreciated and seen, and these new forms will help. So the new forms are getting a little bit of a makeover. We think you're going to love it. We've done a lot of research with actual organizations like you and with donors to get a hold of what they want. The new forms will have a little bit of a more modern aesthetic. It will be really well optimized on both mobile and desktop. And they're going to have some conditional content fields that are kind of similar to the conditional content blocks we explored in the receipting system. Those will help you streamline your donors giving process and make them feel even more seen and appreciated. There are also going to be some other cool features like recurring upgrades, and I just can't wait for y'all to see everything. I got a preview from one of our designers last week, and the new forms are going to be phenomenal. So keep an eye out for more details on those. I know we covered a ton of information in this webinar. We covered best practices and elements to include in confirmation pages and receipts. We covered how those work in Qgiv. We covered how you can use some free tools to get a grasp on those things. So I want to dig into some of the questions you have about what we went over today. And Stephanie asked, is there a way to have automatic receipts be set per program they donate to, even if it is from our main donation page? And yes, Stephanie, the conditional content blocks that I showed you would be a great way to do that. So if you have on your main donation page, I don't know what kind of organization you work for, so I'm just going to make it up. I'm going to pretend that you work for an animal shelter. So what you'd be able to do is you can set up what in the Qgiv system is called a restriction. uh, Donors can choose to give to specific restrictions. So on your main donation page, you could say, we want to donate to the animal clinic, or we want to donate to the pet food pantry, or we want to donate um, $17.50 to go toward this specific program. Then you can use the main donation forms receipt, add the custom content, and people will get those personalized receipts that way. So I hope that answers your question. Catherine asked, when will the new donation form design be released? I don't have a hard date for that, but we do know it's coming in the second half of 2020. So we'll be sharing more information with you in the months to come. We are still working on getting everything up and running. If you are a Qgiv client and are interested in that new release, we'll have updates coming out to you in particular. If you're not using Qgiv, I'm sure you'll see some marketing releases from us when those are ready. What you guys are very open to a lot of what I've had to say. I really appreciate it. Um, I don't have a ton of questions right now, and it is 2:30, so I'll go ahead and let you go. I did want to tell you thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for talking through these things. If you do have any questions about donation pages and receipts, let me know. You can either get a hold of us on social media or by emailing me directly. I'll get those answers to you. Keep an eye out on your inbox tomorrow for the email I'm going to send you with a link to the recording. I'm also going to send you some blog articles and some other things that you might really like as you build your donation confirmation pages and your receipts. Thank you so much for everything. I did want to tell you guys that you're doing great. I know a lot of you are working really hard to keep going during a very awkward time to fundraise. You're doing a fantastic job. We are here to help you. Let me know if we can do anything for you. Until then, I will talk to you all next time. Have a great day.